good day, and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Glad that you're joining us as we get equipped, empowered, educated, and elevated together. Let's jump right into Inside the News. Today, we want to share some important global information as we extend our prayers and thoughts, those good vibes across the water, and to our family here and neighbors next door. Our Kenyan brothers and sisters have experienced massive flooding, not just enough to cause torrential damage, but they're still being impacted today. There have been multiple deaths that have been experienced, and the Kenyan Red Cross is requesting assistance in dire need. They've rescued more than 188 times. That's almost 200 rescues that have just been done since the onset of this horrific incident. We want to remember that those who live next to us and work with us that might have Kenyan family members are also feeling the burden. How important it is that we come together as one human race. So let us think about how important it is during this escalated extreme natural disaster, this situation that is impacting other humans where they need assistance. They find themselves submerged every day in heavy rainfall. Nairobi, in particular, has experienced torrential flooding that again has impacted many of their residents, the entire nation. We also want to extend our hearts to those in Tanzania. More than 155 people in that country have been pronounced or found dead. At least 200 have been injured from flooding in that area. They say the deaths and the damage to crops, the homes, the property, the infrastructure, bridges and highways, even the railways have been damaged. There, the UN's Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is doing all it can to help the affected more than 100,000 people in that country. So we continue to make sure that we lift Kenya. The railways that extend all the way from Kenya to Tanzania have been suspended. So in both areas, all because of the rain that has already fallen and what they're continuing to experience as a nation. So yes, we extend and think and do what we can to hold up our family members across the water. Family, get educated on what information and how you can learn from the resources and be a difference where you are. A lot of us deal with family and even work in remote locations across the water. So while we might be highlighting Kenya and Tanzania this morning, we continue to also think about those in Ukraine, those in Israel and Palestine, where there are active wars taking place. And we extend our hearts to those in Haiti and Sudan, of those who find themselves in harm's way on a regular basis from war-torn areas of gang violence where humanitarian efforts are blocked. So we just want to elevate here at the Power Up how you can make sure that you're a resource and retain knowledge of active events. News and the media want to make sure that you are educated. Tap into all the resources around you. And most importantly, find out how you can make a difference. If you have families in those countries, maybe even here in these United States, where we're dealing with hurricanes and tornadoes, where we deal with flooding in massive areas as well, be kind, be supportive. Be a resource. Remember, any donations that you make, even to local grassroots agencies and nonprofits, are tax deductible. So there's that win-win. Come on, give from the heart and write it off. It is important that we do what we can to make a difference. Stay powered up, family. Know what's out there happening, not just in your community, but globally, as we all occupy this planet, that we need to generate it's more so that it's prepared for our children, children's children, and the generations to come. We hope this information was helpful, that our hearts are extended, and that folks know we're going to do all we can to keep our audience educated so we can be the difference. Family, we're going to continue with information sharing and add some inspiration as well with a wonderful special guest that's coming. So stay tuned. There's more after this.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry Y. Hicks, one-fifth of the amazing queens of empowerment from the Empowered Morning Show. And I am here to personally invite you to join us for the premiere of our brand new show, Queendom Behavior. That's right. We have a brand new show coming out. And before the world gets to see it, we want you to see it. So join us April 27th at 8 p.m. in Douglasville, Georgia at Studio T on Chapel Hill Road for the premiere of Queendom Behavior. It's a red carpet event, so make sure you dress for the occasion. We can't wait to see you there.
Welcome back, family. Our audience is so important to this network. We take opportunity to bring excellence, skilled individuals, and today is no exception. We are so honored to have a brand new guest by invitation and excellence by her reputation. So the Power Up welcomes a very special insight and expertise today from immigration attorney herself and author. We want to welcome Marron Gebremeskel, who is going to join us and share her insight, her heart, her passion. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Tami. I am so grateful that you invited me here, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Listen, we know, Marron, that a lot of what happens around the planet, right, as much as we like to live in our little silos, still affects us as human beings. We work with individuals who have family members across the water. Maybe we worship with them and even just grocery shop with them. They are our neighbors, right? One of the things that you do selflessly on a regular basis is stand for those who are in the path of trying to advocate for their own rights. Can you share what we should know from an immigration attorney perspective?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. So I've been an immigration attorney now for almost 15 years, and a big part of my job is to support my clients in feeling just that they are in good hands and that they're doing the paperwork right, or they have the right forms, they understand how the interviews work. So I do a lot of asylum based immigration work, and also just marriage based. So that could be someone trying to bring a spouse from abroad, or someone who lives here and them trying to adjust their spouse's status. But honestly, immigration, I don't think people realize how vast it is. There's so many different areas. There's lots of laws to understand. And honestly, it's an honor to do that. My family, they came to the US as refugees of Eritrea right before I was born. So it's something that's very, very personal to me.
Wow, wow. And your story, certainly we can see in everybody that you touch. We know that the media has a way of spinning, of adding the negative light to what, when people hear immigration, it may rub them the wrong way. Tell us what we should absolutely know. So when we share information in our communities around immigration, we're skilled and educated. What are some key tips that we should know to help our neighbors?
I think some people don't even realize how imminent immigration is within the United States. A lot of people think, oh, it's about someone trying to physically come into the United States. Those who are discussing immigration, it could be that you know someone or you work with someone or it's a really good friend or someone you were raised with that you had no idea does not fully have their immigration status kind of worked out. It could be that they've had their green card for many years and they haven't become US citizens. It could be that they came in illegally as a child and had no say in it. Um, and there's just so many different realms of immigration that I don't think people understand. Even when people talk to me, it's usually like, oh, so someone wants to apply for citizenship. Actually, before you even get to citizenship, there are many different layers before that. Generally, you have to get your green card first and then eventually become a US citizen. But there's so many different ways to make that happen.
Okay, so the expertise that you have, thank you for that insight. Like for those of us that have kids, maybe we're coaching and we have individuals that we know are just great citizens, right? Like do you recommend as far as immediate assistance we can provide? I ask this because we know there's border conversations. We know that's elevated even more during the voting season. But what should we know just to be able to help those who do arrive that are, again, just regular human beings?
Yeah, I think the best advice that I can give as an immigration attorney is if you know someone who needs support, the best thing they can do is speak with an immigration attorney. And I'm saying immigration attorney because there are other attorneys. I mean, people come to me asking family law questions and criminal law questions, but if you have an immigration case, you want to speak with someone who kind of focuses on that area because it's so vast. So the best thing I would recommend is if you know someone who has a specific situation, is link them or request that they speak with an immigration attorney because they might have options that they had no idea about. So that's what I would recommend.
Wow, awesome. Okay, thank you for that. All right, so we know that you're also a trial attorney and a mom with a brand new poo. And we know that you hail from Mansfield, Texas, so you're holding down being a Texan. There we go. So here's the question. You are also an author.
I
And
am.
you have poured your heart also into trying to support other moms who are doing their best with kids. Now, whether single moms or married moms, you really have taken on a heart to help people outside of the courtroom. Share your story.
Yeah, I want to take a step back and say, before I even share about being an author, about the vast support that I've received from you, Tami, as my coach. Tami was my coach when I was a trial attorney in the federal government. And that was around the time that I was writing this book. At that point, I had my third child. It was in the middle of COVID. It was just so much. And the support that you gave me helped me, one, write this book, helped me make the right decisions for me and my family. So I'm so grateful for that. But to answer your question, yes, I did. I wrote my book, Cactus Fruit. So it did happen. It occurred. And it was while I was just going through so much. And it was almost like an escape for me. It allowed me to pour my blood, sweat, and tears and my emotions into something other than the law. And I think as mothers, we don't realize that, just because you have a specific job or just because you are a mom, that's not all you are. We're so many more things than that. And for me, that other thing that I didn't really tap into for quite some time was being a writer. And I kind of tap into that as an attorney because I write asylum briefs, I write appeals and decision. It helps with my work, But sometimes I just like writing poetry, which is kind of outside of the box for an attorney. But it's something that I enjoyed. And now, as a mother of four, it's something that I continue to do. And I think many women should kind of figure out what is it that speaks to you through art, whether it's painting or writing or whatever it is, to tap into that. And to me, that's a big part of self-care. It could mean getting your hair and nails done, right? I mean, there are many ways to show self-care, but also to tap into yourself and what are the things that you would do just for free that you enjoy. And for me, that was writing.
Listen, and thank you for pouring into those pages, because yes, the book is available on Amazon,
Yes.
and there are people who are certainly now inspired to say, poetry can lift you out of many situations. And so you never know, once you get started, how it can impact. How do you feel since you've shifted into now being an author, and what's next?
Well, that's a great question. Honestly, shifting into becoming an author has been very empowering for me. And next, I have a book coming out that I'm still working on. So coming out is in hopefully near future, but it's about how grandmothers have affected the immigrants and the children of immigrants. I'm interviewing different grandmothers who are here in the United States, who have come to the United States as immigrants, and kind of telling their stories through poetry. And even in doing that, I mean, the things that I hear, their stories, their lives are just so amazing. Immigrants have so much to share. And I think it's important to highlight that from a mother and a grandmother's perspective.
I love that, because I'll be the one to say it. This country was built from immigrants. Okay, so as we consider all the wonderful things that are you, right? I want to take a minute and step back if I can, because you mentioned that word that is just important to us here at the Power Up. Self-care. You don't usually think of attorneys who, especially having been a trial attorney, as you said, an attorney for the federal government, immigration attorney, your knowledge spans family attorney, like being counsel and support for so many people, and having all the babies you do, and they're beautiful, and
Thank
you're keeping a wonderful family unit. Here's the question: what advice would you have for maybe another mom or even dad, just an individual who's trying to hold it together in a professional way? So they're dealing with their professional expertise and doing soccer practice and doing all of the babies and everything. What advice would you share? What tips?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think that's a great segue into one of my poems from my book. And I'm just gonna jump right into it. It's called Unworthy Mother. I am not a good enough mother. I'm not gonna say that I have done enough. I'm doing a horrible job. You can't convince me that I'm doing the best I can do. I'm not worthy of them. You can't make me think that I deserve my children. And then at the bottom it says, now reread from bottom to top. I deserve my children. You can't make me think that I am not worthy of them. I'm doing the best I can do. You can't convince me that I'm doing a horrible job. I have done enough. I'm not going to say that I'm not a good enough mother. And I love that poem because I think it shows the duality that we feel as mothers. Sometimes I feel like I am the best mother in the world. I need to teach this to some people. I am awesome. And then that same day, something could happen with one of my children. And I feel the exact opposite. I feel like I am horrible. I'm not good at this. I need advice. I'm going to ruin my kids' lives. I'm just horrible in that same day. And I think that happens to all of us as humans. Even if you're not a mother, it's just a human trait where we're just constantly, there's the back and forth of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. But then there's other days where you feel amazing, right? So one thing I think is important to just to give each other grace, not only for ourselves, but to other people, because we're not perfect. We are doing our best, and we will make mistakes again and again. And it's part of life and living.
Okay, so if I had a mic, I would drop it for you. Powerful. And thank you for reading that poem. Absolutely. It touches the heart of humanity, just that we're here and we're doing our best in life. So thank you for that. Okay, so I want to step into another part of you, if that's all right.
Of course.
So we talked about the mom, we've talked about the author, we've talked about the business as far as being an attorney. You are an executive, you are a CEO, you own your own company, you're a voice in the community, you do things that other people wouldn't dare to do, because it's one thing just to be an attorney and go that course. It's another thing to decide that I'm going to brand myself where I'm standing on top of a mountain so everybody can see me and lights on me and come to me with your best shot. I do want to ask this question. A lot of times folks don't understand the balance, right? The being the boss, the being the wife, the being the mom, the being the author. What are your thoughts around how you keep it together? What's your glue? What's your tip?
Well, the quick answer is I don't keep it together. Is that I am extremely flawed, and that if someone thinks that I am keeping it together, it is because of, that's their perception. But I am not keeping it together. I'm not doing, I mean, there are many days where, like I said, I feel like, what am I doing? And then there are other days I feel like I'm doing great. But long story short, I personally need the support of God. I need the support of my family. And I'm just learning as I get older and age that, there's very little control that we have over all of this. And yeah, those that think others, have it together, they probably don't. Same as us. But yeah, I'm just doing my best day by day, and hoping that, it makes my God proud, that it makes my family proud. But yeah, I'm not I'm not holding it together. And, someone has the answer, I would probably say, honest, we're all working on it. We're all working on it.
Yeah, and I think that's the answer, right? Just quitting isn't an option. The calling is bigger than what we deserve or what we think we're worth. And still, yet, if because here's what I heard that I love, that you feel like you don't have it together, but yet you're helping people that definitely feel like they don't have it together and they're seeking advice from you. And so all we can do is the best with what we have. And I just want to thank you for your work, because your humility is so admirable. I know the lives you are touching, I know the platforms that you're on. And yet to hear your heart and your humility, even in it all, just validates the fact that those of us who are bosses still have to deal with feeling how we feel while we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I know it's sometimes called imposter syndrome or whatnot. Sometimes I just feel like, yes, I probably have imposter syndrome. But at the end of the day, I just think we're all a work in progress, and we're all working towards something, right? And I mean, for me, I mean, to answer really your question is, what do I do? I love reading books. I start my day before I even get on social media, I make sure that I read a morning prayer on my phone. And then I do a gratitude journal on my phone. And these are the things that I realize, like, because I have 4 kids, it's difficult to get a pen and a paper and do it. So I just have the date, and I do the gratitude journal of just quick things from the day before that I'm grateful for. I try to make a point to walk at least 20 to 30 minutes a day before I start the day. Um, and to write, just basically, I try to make sure that I live my life in a way that makes me happy and that works for me. And if it's not working, to try to reevaluate things constantly.
Man, listen, self-assessment is everything, right? We can grow when reevaluation happens, evaluation. And thank you, because you just dropped some key tips some folks may have never heard of. How about that everyday gratitude journal? That might be new for some folks. Where did that come from? What sparked that? That's awesome.
Yeah, honestly, I read a lot. So and when I say read a lot, I probably should say I listen to a lot of books because I do Audible and Libby. Um, and it makes it easier for me to read and to, just get new information. And I've read the importance of just showing gratitude every day. And from that, like I said, it's usually kind of recommended that you have a journal and you write in it. And I want to do that, but I can't because of my time and my life. But what has worked for me is saying I wake up in the morning quickly. When I say a morning prayer, I just Google morning prayer. It could be something very short, and then just do a quick 4 or 5, a list of things that I'm grateful for from the day before. And I've done it now for about 2 or 3 years, and it's helped me start the day on a more positive note.
That's phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that. Maran, you are such a gift to the world. Not just to everybody that you're representing in your excellence in every courtroom that you stand in, but in taking the time to work on another book and pour more into people, that is a phenomenal. And I appreciate you sharing your tips today. You mentioned walking every morning. You mentioned making sure that you spend time on you. And that certainly is a message we want to leave with everyone. Okay, so I don't want to end this interview. I just love having the opportunity. I know how precious and expensive your time is. So I do want to honor that. But before we let you go from the Power Up, we also know that you love people. You are a people person. That is one of your superpowers. So I do want to ask if there's someone watching, maybe not dealing with immigration issue, but just having a loss, or dealing with brokenness, or whatever space they might be in, what would you like to share with them to give them hope?
I say hope and relief comes in different ways for different people. I think it's just important to sit back with yourself, to be outside, to walk, to think about it, to be honest with your feelings. The same way I have reached out to Tami for coaching and leadership. I mean, it's important to seek counsel from one another. It really makes a huge difference. It doesn't make you weak. Being vulnerable is not a weakness. It's actually a strength. It's a very empowering strength to have. So I just recommend just taking a step back. I always think of this even in putting together my career path and my life plans, is working backwards from the things that are important to me and that are important to you, and then going from there. Don't just put yourself in the circumstances. Of course it affects your life, right? But think of, these are the things that I want, and these are the steps I can take to make that happen. Understanding that, yes, you do not control everything, right? We don't control everything, but we can lead our lives to the direction that we want. And I want everyone to feel empowered and know that you're not alone. We're all working on it, and you can do it. You can make yourself, you can live the life that you want to live if you believe in yourself.
Wow. Thank you so much. My very, very special guest today, immigration attorney, author, human rights advocate. Listen, she's a mentor. She herself, family, is a coach. So know that there's access to this wonderful attorney. And as she said, she's not just an immigration attorney. She answers family questions. Whatever you might have, feel free to reach out to marronglaw.com, marronglaw.com. Maran, to all, we thank you for being the gift you are and for sharing your insight and your transparency today. We hope to have you back. Family, stay tuned. We're not finished. There's more after this.
weeks here with you. And today, we're going to talk about the connection between financial stewardship and our faith. How can we as Christians in business manage our finances in a way that honors God and serves His kingdom? Financial stewardship is more than just handling money wisely. It's about recognizing that everything we have is God's and we are merely caretakers. Psalms 24:1 reads, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it." So from this, we have to know that we are to handle all things with care, reflecting our values and commitment to Christ. So we will budget with integrity, avoid excessive debt, and give freely. 2 Corinthians 9:7 reads, "Eternal God, all that we have comes from you, for everything belongs to you. O God and Lord of creation and our salvation." Financial stewardship. We depend on God totally, as all we have comes from Him, our ideas, inventions, our profit, so we are cheerful givers. Just like we may have a business plan, God has the ultimate plan, and we are part of His holy org chart. We cannot take for granted that He has blessed us to be a blessing. After all, if we are faithful over a few things, He will make us ruler over many things. Have you reviewed the structure of your org chart or counted your blessings? Do you see growth? Stewardship extends to how we treat people, customers, business partners, employees. Are we communicating? Do we provide safe working conditions? Do we foster an environment that makes people want to find out who God is? Embracing financial stewardship in our business compels us to act with integrity, generosity, and a deep sense of responsibility. It can't just be about the bottom line. It's about making a positive impact that reflects the teachings of Christ. Managing our finances well allows us to be more effective in our ministry and service to others. Yes, your business, my business, is our ministry. Let's continue to seek wisdom in how we manage our resources and make financial decisions that honor God and help those around us. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
Welcome back to the Power Up. I'm Tami, your host. So glad you're still joining us. Welcome back to the ride. As we move forward again with educating and equipping you, we want to discuss a lot that's going on right now and answer a viewer question. We have a question, putting it in short Tami terms, how her daughter was at school and she's concerned because of all of the active shooter drills. She asked what she should know about being aware. I love questions that come in where individuals want to grow. So today we're going to discuss situational awareness. We're going to make this really quick. There are courses that you can take. You can even get certified in how you can be the difference when the situation gets critical. But there are some things grandmas can notice with what's going on with their teenagers that might be happening in the household, depending on your profession, the people you work with, or even if you're sitting in church or in the grocery store. Sadly, that's the day we live in. There are mass shootings, yes, in our places of worship, yes, in grocery stores, just from individuals doing their regular life activities. And our babies have to deal with active shooter drills. And understanding that people, young kids who are stressed or whatever they might be dealing with in mental capacities, that population of teenagers and our youth are so vital. Peer pressure is so important to make sure that we remember, listen, we dealt with it. So when we get older, we've got to make sure to remain that much more sensitive. But let's answer the viewer question. What should she know to be aware? So I want to share some tips as a law enforcement chaplain. I am one who also travels and trains on situational awareness with law enforcement. And so I'm just going to share a few tips that can be helpful. The one you should know the most, just in case all this information escapes. Remember this: follow your gut. See something, say something. We don't have the ability in a moment to investigate and figure out if something that's questionable is a concern or if it's just regular. In other words, if somebody leaves a paper bag in a place of public transportation, you can't assume there's just a cupcake in it. New day. All they ask, though, is not that you panic, but that you say something. Have resources, including numbers, available to you, non-emergency and emergency, just in case there's something that you see that can help after you pass. Okay, follow your gut. If something does not feel right, don't continue in the manner you're continuing in. Get back in your car and drive away. There are other grocery stores. You can worship online. It's okay to allow your instincts to drive you. Okay? Just remember, there's that wonderful flight, fight, or fear that freeze that's in you, that autoimmune system that gives you that what you need to do in the moment, how to respond and react. But when in doubt, it's okay to say something and let someone that's professional figure it out. Wouldn't it be safe to just know it's a cupcake that they looked at? Better safe than sorry. So follow your gut. Tip number one. The other thing as a tip I want to share is be very clear of verbal and nonverbal body language. Okay? Be observant. No physical, behavioral, psychological, and you don't have to be trained and certified in these areas. But if someone is speaking to you and you know them well, and the conversation that you're having is not how they normally speak, that's something to elevate. Not that they're going to go around harming anyone, but shouldn't you be able to be a help to your neighbor, to your friend, to your coworker? That happened one time with me on the job. I just happened to see a coworker and I said, "Why are you turning blue and purple? Your face is a different color." She said, "I'm just hot." I said, "Okay, just hot, but you're going to the emergency room. You're going to the nurse's unit. I get you just hot, but you're turning colors and this is not your usual color. Come on and let's just get checked out to make sure you're okay." She later came back and said they told her it could have very well been a heart attack that they prevented. See something, you follow your gut. Be okay noticing verbal and nonverbal and body language. If someone is a regular speaker and they're stuttering, know that that could be a sign of a stroke. It could be the sign of something more going on. Again, you're not the professional to diagnose, but you can sure say, "Hey, are you okay? You don't seem like yourself. Let's step out the room for a minute. Let's talk. I just want to check on you." My brother, my sister's keeper. I do want to share one more tip with you, and I want to remind you of one thing. If you're not a doctor, if you're not a counselor, if you're not someone trained in emergency response, do not feel like you have to approach someone who is clearly in a traumatic space. Let me help you understand how real post-traumatic stress disorder is. Right? How real schizophrenia and other mental health illnesses are. Think about it this way. When you're having a bad day and everybody comes to you, there are times when you just don't feel like dealing with people. When you're tired, you may be under the weather. It's hard to get out of bed. You're not at your best, right? Maybe when you're in bereavement and had to bury your loved one. That's not necessarily a day to expect you to paste on a smile and want to go partying, right? We have different moods and different attitudes that we deal with. So certainly we should respect someone else who's in a different mental space. Because what's real to you when you're hurting, when you're crying, when you're sick, is what's real to that individual. Wherever they are mentally is real where they are. Why we should be sensitive to veterans who have served in wars, because it might very well be they may be dealing with something where they're back in that traumatic situation. One of the reasons that it's important to care for our law enforcement who have to see these type of situations all the time, the support they need so they don't bring that back home to their loved ones, right? Same thing you need when you deal with poor customer service and you are hot after you hung up the phone. Anybody that now touches you has to deal with that. Being sensitive, being aware, not for us to treat and diagnose, for us to be there and care. I want to share though for someone who feels like that you might want to pursue. Tami, you said I can be helpful. You said that there's training that's possibly out there. Consider mentalhealthfirstaid.org. That is an actual certified program by the National Council of Mental Well-Being. You can be mental health first aid certified. I am. You take the course, it teaches you how to address someone who might be inebriated. That's someone who might be drunk or high, hallucinating because they have too much prescription medication in them, right? You don't know the trigger or the cause. And in the moment, don't we care to get them help? Not to crucify them, but to help. Consider how you can grow in your skills, be in your community, being now certified in your church so you can recognize the behavior and know what steps to take. You know when to assess risk for harm, when to listen non-judgmentally, when to give reassurance and information, when to encourage for appropriate professional help, and even when to encourage for self-help and support, and when to call for emergency assistance. Some things are just out of your hands. But when you're trained, you can be a difference in your community. That coach who can help that teenager who might be considering harming themselves or others, right? How you can help that loved one who's dealing with that diagnosis that just they can't take anymore. Family, consider mentalhealthfirstaid.org. Go on, take the course, get certified, be a better equipped and educated you so you can elevate the entire community. We also want to share this information with our family that you can always check out additional resources on many different platforms, including calling the NAMI Health Line. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is available if you find yourself having conversations with yourself that seem a little off. Feel free to give them a call. Also, if you know family members who are struggling and you don't know where to go to be that support, that love, what they need in that moment, again, non-judgmentally. It's not about tearing them down with what they're dealing with. It's about being that resource and that help. 1-800-950-NAMI. This agency is available to help you, and they have a helpline. Whether you need resources, whether you need recommendations, or you yourself just need a confidential space. 800-950-6264. Family, we hope this information was helpful as we grow to be the best as possible and make a difference. Listen, not looking for other people to do it. How about you be the difference where you are? Consider tapping into these resources, getting certified, and come on and go be great. Family, there's more to come as we go into our wrap up. What a powerful show. Hang on, there's more after this.
Hey everybody, this is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner on Empowered Mornings. We'd like to invite you every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., Uniquely and Gorgeous, to keep your mind locked and loaded on WIN Network.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry White Hicks, and I am here to invite you to join me every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Midday Miracles and Manna right here on We Empower Network.
Welcome back, family. I'm Tami, your host. Time for our wrap up. What another very informative show. Thank you to our production team for all that they bring to increase the knowledge of the world, not just one particular individual or type of ethnic background, but to make sure we all have the same level playing field. We're all equipped and educated to empower and elevate. We started with Inside the News, where we educated everyone on what the issues are by our Tanzanian and those overseas experiencing flooding. Tanzania is experiencing in a horrible way torrential rains. And we have to remember our family in Kenya because weather is something no one can control. They're already dealing with flooding where hundreds have died and hundreds of thousands are impacted. Can you imagine the little bit that you had being washed away? Humanitarian efforts in that area are very hard. They're asking both countries for assistance in any way. Knowledge is power. Know that our brothers and sisters across the water matter to us. We also continue to elevate those in Sudan and Haiti, as well as those in war-torn lands where we need peace to abound. May you all, wherever you are, know that we care at the Power Up and will always be a voice elevating what's right and information with non-judgment here. We also welcomed, what an amazing powerhouse, the attorney, our special guest, Marron Gebremeskel, who is an immigration attorney and author. Family, she is a human rights advocate in every sense of the word. Such a selfless attorney, but a fireball in every way. If you want to seek her insight or even are looking for her book, please feel free to go to Amazon. Her book is on Amazon. Cactus Fruit is what it's called. It's a book of poetry. And we thank her for reading one of them that reminded us that it's okay to feel where you are. Repeat those affirmations every day and know that in the space you're in, you can still win and help others win, even when you don't feel like you are. Family, thank you, Marron, for bringing the best of you to the world and for sharing your insight on what we should know about immigration. Not just the negative spin individuals want to put on it, but how we can help those who have different, maybe skin than us, but are in need just like we are on a regular basis. How we can hold them up as one human race. Because here in these United States, we all were immigrants, unless you started as a Native American. So as this land was built from all the different, they call it a melting pot, as we all come from different diverse parts of life, that's what makes us great. That we all have the best of each other to make us all one. Feel free to reach out to Marron with any questions. Just understand the sister is a bad attorney. We also finished our show with a powerful segment on situational awareness, responding to a viewer call. Thank her for sharing her heart, as with many parents. You know, it's not hard to know that our children could be in harm's way. When we take them to school, that there's possibility that one of the kids around them might have a gun and with a bad day decide they just want to walk the halls. We have history, even recent history, of school shootings. So we understand your concern and asking, how do I stay aware? Some of the tips: follow your gut. Mhm. If it doesn't feel right, smell right, look like right, even if you just question it, go ahead and say something. It's not for us to investigate and decide we're going to step in the way of the professionals, just for us to elevate it to them. You can even call local non-emergency phone numbers. You don't have to just hit 911, but understand they're going to ask, what's the emergency? So if it turns out that it's not, they don't have a problem transferring you to your local non-emergency number. But already having it can be very helpful. So you're not bombarding 911 when they get overwhelmed with those car accidents or those emergencies and everyone's calling. Know your non-emergency number. Also, remember body language, verbal cues. Remember that if there's something that just seems off with someone, especially that you might know, be that friend, be that help. You might very well save a life. Consider getting mental health first aid certified through the National Council of Mental Well-Being, mentalhealthfirstaid.org. Why not? Also, we share all the time. Get CPR certified. Come on, know how to save a life. Listen, you go down, you want somebody jumping on your chest, pumping your heart. So why not you be prepared? I tell folks, I pray I never have to use it, but I'm prepared just in case. Go to mentalhealthfirstaid.org and learn more about the certification program and how you can make a difference to someone who might need you in a moment where they're just dealing with a mental health crisis. You can be the difference. Also, consider getting resources from the NAMI Helpline, 1-800-950-6264. Feel free calling them. One thing we're going to do here is share resources and information so that you are empowered and equipped. The National Alliance on Mental Illness can be a resource to folks. You just have questions. You saw that pill bottle that has psychotropic medication on it, or you know you have a family member that just keeps saying, I can't take it anymore. Call the helpline. They can give you resources. So at least when you go to speak with the family member, you have help available. And remember, sometimes it's just you listening that they need, non-judgmentally. Family, the NAMI helpline is available to you, as well as considering how to get mental health first aid certified. We hope this information has been helpful today. We want to leave you in the power up with a thought. You are intentionally where you are on purpose. Did you ever wonder about that? Why do I have the family I have? Maybe you don't know your birth parents. Maybe you were adopted, or you're put in a situation now that you not even liking where you are. There are different places in life, phases in life, stages of life, right? Because life is a movement. You don't just pitch a tent in life and you arrived. That's why sometimes you have great ups and then you have valley experiences. But it's all meant for you to continue putting one foot in front of the other and moving through. If you pitch a tent in the wilderness, you'll never see what the other side has waiting for you. Yes, the wilderness might seem dark, unfamiliar. Yeah, your desert place is definitely going to feel dry, might even be surrounded by death. You're trying to figure out why you're in your third funeral in a month. You never know why. But here's the thing, you are the difference in it all. See, when the light is in the sun, it doesn't necessarily get seen, right? You're on the beach, you're enjoying life, you're in the sun enjoying life. That's great. You're in a wonderful space, emotionally, right? Physically, maybe mentally, and just enjoying the moment. The question becomes, when it's dark, how are you responding? What can you say in the moment or do that can be a powerful shift, not just for you, but for someone else? That is one of the strengths and characteristics in leadership. See, others are going to look to you on in the moment of crisis to see how you respond. And then, yep, most of them are going to respond the same way. So if you're the type that just gets frazzled and frustrated and can't take changes and you're not able to shift, then thinking about leading a team might not be your right. Or figuring out how you handle those should be the priority. Know you. Thank you, Maran, for elevating that. I have to assess myself, know who I am, because where I am in my 50s is not where I was in 40s, 30s, 20s, certainly not as a teenager. I am in a different place today where I love me and I'm good without people. But in my past, I was a people pleaser. Totally different mindset, process, thought. I needed validation from folk in my 30s, 20s, 40s. I was going through horrible peer pressure as a teenager. I'm not looking to blame anyone. It was a transition moment. But where I am now is also wiser because now I have to think about my 60s and 70s, and I have to plan for my 80s and 90s. So the point is, you are the difference maker. And to one of Maran's key points, even when you don't feel your best, when you don't feel like it, like maybe you feel all over the place, still there's resources, there's help. Consider tapping into that counselor, that therapist, mentor, get a coach, financial advisor. Come on, you can fix your budget. Why not? You want to go on that cruise? Why not? Embrace where you are, even if it doesn't feel good, and figure out how to grow you and those around you in this moment. We hope today's show was helpful to you in some kind of way. Y'all, I just spoke life into myself. I'm trying to tell you I love the power up. Family, as always, we want to thank emergency and 911 responders, those who run into harm's way when the rest of us are running away. We thank our teachers and those who love on our babies, medical professionals. We cough on you when we're sick and you take it with compassion. And we thank all of you, whatever you do to make the difference to the lives of our seniors, our babies, our neighbors, to be the best of our community. And our veterans and military who guard us or have guarded our rights just so we could disagree. You ever think about that? That's why it's important when you see a service member to say, thank you for your service. Family, we hope today's segment was informative and elevating. And we look forward to having you on the next Power Up. I'm Tami, your host. Thank you for joining us. Have an amazing day.